Hello, my friend. Welcome back to What's Up in Makeup. This week we have two class action lawsuits that we're going to be talking about, which involve customers accusing brands of being deceptive in their marketing of products. Starting off with Morphe and customers' issues with them, and then we'll go into Beekman 1802 and customers' issues with them. And then finally in top news, we're going to be talking about the HBO Max documentary called Not So Pretty. I read an article where some experts weighed in on the topic of talc and whether it is dangerous in your cosmetics and FDA regulations and all of that. And I have to tell you, the product report is so interesting today. I can't wait to share it with you. Hang tight. We're getting into it right now. So the question of the week is, are Morphe products inherently dangerous? Dun 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 dun. That is what a court is going to have to decide when this class action lawsuit goes before a judge. The claim in this 52-page lawsuit is that Morphe failed to warn customers properly that some of their eyeshadow pigments are not safe for eye use, and that they misled customers into believing that they were safe. According to classaction.org, the lawsuit alleges that the offending cosmetics can cause, quote, severe eye irritation, skin discoloration and staining, rashes, allergic reactions, and other painful and embarrassing conditions that can reportedly last for days. The lawsuit specifically says, quote, defendants actively instructed and encouraged consumers, meaning Morphe told people, including children, to use the products in a manner which defendants knew or should have known was inherently dangerous and unlawful. They mention in the lawsuit that Morphe uses words like pressed pigments and shadow palette in order to hide the fact that they are not safe for eye use, yet they directly market the products for use on the eyes through Instagram pictures and videos and things like that. Honestly, I'm reading through this and I'm like, did they just go to my James Charles Morphe video from 2018 and just like take notes and put it in the lawsuit? Because everything they're saying here is what I said in that video. James, in his launch video, talks about how there are many different formulas within his eyeshadow palette. That there's eyeshadows and then there are pressed pigments. Let me go ahead and show you a clip of that part of his video.
When I had this palette idea, I worked with Morphe very, very closely to formulate every single one of these shades to create literally the most bomb rainbow eyeshadow colors you will ever see in your entire life. Majority of this palette is beautiful, vibrant, pigmented rainbow matte shades. Now I do want to touch on the matte shades and some of these formulas behind them because most of the mattes in this palette are considered pressed pigments and not typical eyeshadows. Now, what does that mean? I didn't know until very recently when I was formulating this with Morphe, but now I do, so I want to share it with you guys. The ingredients in pressed pigments are just slightly different than eyeshadows, and they are actually exactly what their name says. It is literally just the actual color pigment pressed right into a pan ready for you to use, whereas an eyeshadow has a lot of other stuff mixed in it as well to make it perform really beautifully.
What James doesn't mention is that the pigments that are used in his palette have not been FDA approved for the eye. Some of them of course have, but some of them have not. You may have heard this before, especially if you watch my other video, that there are eyeshadow palettes that they can't call eyeshadow palettes because they have these pigments in them. So what they do is they call them pressed pigments palettes. But what Manny and Jeffrey did that James did not do is that they at least made some kind of mention of the disclaimer on the back of the box that says that some of the pressed pigments are not eye safe. I don't know if it's just that he didn't know or what, but it was his responsibility and Morphe's responsibility to make sure that that information was conveyed to the customer. Because if you look at the picture on the box, it says, it's got a little eye next to the eyeshadows, and in the pressed pigments, it's got a little symbol that says a little circle and then a no. I have never seen that on a box before for eyeshadow. It usually says something like the Urban Decay Electric palette did, which says that some of these pigments are not made for eye use. He describes the difference between a pressed pigment and an eyeshadow being that the pigment is exactly that it's pigment pressed, and that an eyeshadow is mixed with a bunch of other things. If you look at the two ingredient lists for James's pressed pigments and the ones that are called eyeshadows, you'll see the ingredient lists are almost the same. They're almost exactly the same. Now, this is my thought. My thought is if your product goes to the point where you're recommending that a person goes to the dermatologist as a reaction to the way that your product performed on them, that's a problem. I think maybe even just oh, I'm so sorry you're going through this. I'm sorry that you're having a bad experience. Make sure you go to your dermatologist. I mean, something. But he is totally not taking any kind of responsibility for it. And I think that that's a serious problem. And I can see why people might be confused, because he never tells you that they're not meant for the eye. He never tells you that. And then he proceeds in future videos to use the pigments that are not meant for the eye, according to the FDA, on his eyes.
I'm first gonna grab an M433 brush and dip into the shade Escape, and I'm going to pop this right on the outer corner. Grab another M433 brush and dip into the shade Single, which is that lighter purple shade, and I'm gonna use this to lightly diffuse out the edges. I'm just going to grab an M441 brush and dip into B, which is the bright yellow shade. I'm gonna dip this shade right into the bright red, which is called You're Kidding. Why is it called that? You're gonna find out when I put this on.
If you did see the video that I did for the Life's a Drag palette, I mentioned how the FDA is really outdated in updating these things, and for the majority of people, these pigments are not going to cause a problem other than possibly staining the eye. But there are people that do have an allergic reaction to pigments like this. In my opinion, which is still pretty much the same opinion that I had back then, is that the FDA is at fault here. First of all, the FDA needs to look at these pigments and they need to decide whether they are truly unsafe for eye use, because like we talked about last week in live chat, these pigments are approved for eye use in the European Union. They are much more strict with their regulations than we are here in the US, so they need to decide whether this is actually an issue or not. Second, what they need to do is, if they are found to be unsafe for eye use, they need to close the pressed pigment loophole. They need to make sure that they are not marketing eyeshadows in their advertisements for use on the eyes, and then just have like a little eyeball on the back of the palette with a little line through it, and that's the only indication to the customer that these are not safe for eye use. Brands are going to continually manipulate laws and try to find loopholes if government agencies do not crack down and take these kinds of things seriously. In my opinion, I feel like if the FDA really looked at these pigments, they would find that there's really no issue and it's not worth going through all of this for this. If you remember, back in 2020, Huda Beauty went through a very similar lawsuit. We're gonna be talking about the lawsuit that was just settled with Huda Beauty. It was filed back in 2020. And the reason why it was filed was because their Neon Obsessions palettes were labeled as not safe for eye use, but were advertised for use around the eyes. The lawsuit claimed that the woman allegedly experienced irritation and burning that was made worse by the difficulty she experienced removing the makeup. I think that Huda messed up in a couple ways, which makes this palette a little bit different than some of the ones in the past. One of them a lot of people do, which is what Manny did, what Jeffrey did, what James did, which is to use those shadows on the eye, advertise photos of the shadows on the eye when it says specifically on the back of the package, not eye safe. Another thing she didn't do was she didn't mention it to her potential customers that they were not safe for eye use anywhere in the advertising, marketing, videos, Instagram, none of that, did not mention that anywhere. But I think what really puts this palette in a different, or these palettes I should say, in a different category is that the disclaimer was kind of hidden in that you had to actually peel off the back of the label in order to find the disclaimer. That was not a good idea. That was not nice. Huda didn't lose the lawsuit. She didn't lose, she's just settling. The court documents say that, quote, Huda Beauty denies plaintiff's claims, denies any wrongdoing, and asserts that the products are safe and effective. And also, the court has not decided whether Huda Beauty did anything wrong, and that the parties agreed to the proposed settlement to resolve the lawsuit and avoid the expenses and uncertainties of continuing the lawsuit. So basically, girl, this is getting real expensive. This is kind of stupid. said, let's just stop doing this and let's just, you know what we're gonna do? We're just gonna give people refunds. And as much as I have issues with Morphe, I honestly don't think this class action is going to go through unless they can prove that many people got allergic reactions because of these pigments. They're gonna have to have a lot of proof. And I don't know if they're going to be able to produce that beyond staining of the skin, but we shall see. And if they do lose this, this is a bigger deal for many brands than the Huda Beauty lawsuit, because a lot of brands label their products just the way that Morphe does, with just a very small little disclaimer on the back of the package that says not safe for eye use. Some brands that I looked up that use these kinds of pigments, we have the ABH Norvina brand specifically, HipDot, Lunar Beauty, Jeffree Star Cosmetics, BH Cosmetics, Makeup Revolution, and so many other brands do exactly this. They are really going to have to watch out for this and see what happens about how they're going to handle this in the future. In very similar news, another class action lawsuit has been filed against Beekman 1802 for their probiotic skincare line. The suit alleges that the probiotic skincare products are falsely advertised given items contain no live biotics, that the preservatives used by the company would render any probiotics in the products inert and therefore useless. The suit claims that essentially Beekman 1802 knew that the probiotics in their products are essentially useless, and they just figured that customers wouldn't know the difference. And also that the removal of the word probiotics in their skincare line would make their company and their products less marketable. But just like with the Morphe lawsuit, probiotic skincare is very common these days. Tula comes immediately to mind when I think probiotic skincare. When you Google search on, not Google search, but when you search on Sephora's website, you find like Biossance and Corez both have probiotic skincare, and the ingredients that are listed in the lawsuit that they say render probiotics useless, things like glycerin and caprylic and capric triglyceride, that's what's in the lawsuit. I don't know whether that actually renders them useless or not, but that's what the lawsuit says. Those ingredients are used by Tula, Biossance, and Corez. And it's interesting because I hadn't ever really thought too much about whether the probiotics were active or inactive and what the difference was in skincare. So that kind of proves what the lawsuit's point is that I just kind of was like, oh, probiotics in skincare, that sounds pretty cool. Did a little research of probiotics in skincare, matched up, but I didn't think about that they may be rendered inactive. So yeah, I mean, I am all about companies being held accountable for false advertising, and we'll have to keep an eye on it and see what happens with these lawsuits. I have been asked so much lately, because y'all know how much I am very much an ingredient geek, about the HBO Max series called Not So Pretty. Now, I do not have access to HBO Max, so I have not seen it. I watched the trailer, I've read some reviews, but I have not watched it. That's the disclaimer. But what I did do was I did a little bit of research and I looked into articles where professionals weighed in on the topics addressed in that documentary. From what I've heard, if you haven't seen it, they make a really big deal over the Johnson & Johnson talc lawsuit, where women were using their baby powder on their nether regions for years, ended up with ovarian cancer, and the people who developed cancer won the lawsuit. Johnson & Johnson was ordered to pay $4 billion in damages for that lawsuit. So I am not a cosmetic chemist. I am not in any way professional in this area, but I have been reporting on ingredients and cosmetics for over 6 years on this channel. So I can kind of tell you a timeline of things that have happened as far as talc. And the biggest thing that we've seen is when talc is contaminated with asbestos and it is in cosmetics, and then those cosmetics are tested and taken off the market. We've seen that so many times, from City Color Cosmetics to Justice and Claire's to some Halloween makeup. We all know that asbestos is a carcinogen. We do not want that in our cosmetics. We also reported at the end of 2021, there was an FDA research study that they did. I don't know if it was considered a study, but they did like a probe where they got 50 products off of shelves randomly, and they got the ingredients and they just randomly gave them unpackaged to a lab, and the lab tested them for asbestos. And out of the 50 samples, guess how many of them had asbestos in them? None. All of them had talc, none of them had asbestos. Not all talc is contaminated with asbestos. The asbestos is the problem, not the talc itself. So I was mentioning earlier that I've read some articles where professionals have weighed in on this topic, and there was an article in Pop Sugar that I'm gonna highlight. It's linked down below. All the article references for everything I talk about and what's in makeup are always in the description box. So they interviewed a dermatologist and a cosmetic chemist, and they made some comments about the documentary, specifically the talc thing. So dermatologist Dr. Nava Greenfield stated, quote, "Talc is generally considered safe in makeup. Even at a pure talc level, it is not harmful to the skin." And then cosmetic chemist Dr. Marta Pazos added, quote, "Even at a pure talc level, it is not harmful to the skin. Talc-containing cosmetics should not generate any adverse skin unless they contain some contaminants that can cause irritations. It is a fairly common belief that talc may contain asbestos, which is not only an irritant, but a demonstrated carcinogenic." Dr. Greenfield said that the major problem with asbestos-contaminated talc is inhalation. So that's definitely something to keep in mind, especially when we're talking about loose powder products like setting powders, finishing powders that are talc based. Asbestos contaminated talc can cause bronchitis and asthma and all kinds of other issues. She also mentioned that it shouldn't be applied to open wounds or areas where the skin is broken because it could cause irritation and inflammation in those areas. So just to sum up for top news today, since all of these things are kind of in the same category, really the FDA has a lot of work to do in regulating cosmetics. A lot of us have been talking about this for a very long time. Companies will always try to find loopholes in order to get around laws like the whole pressed pigment thing, or not double checking their products to make sure that they don't contain asbestos. There are really very real dangers about talc and asbestos contaminated talc, but because of clean beauty marketing, they are blown up to the nth degree and make people afraid of all talc instead of the very small percentage of products that do have talc contaminated with the asbestos. And believe it or not, I actually found 2 other lawsuits that I'm not going to go too deep into here, but again, they will be linked below. One of them was about Sephora brand and titanium dioxide in their eyeshadows, which was super weird because I have literally never seen, to my memory, an eyeshadow palette without titanium dioxide in it. It is like every single eyeshadow palette on the market. And then the second one was actually an asbestos contamination with the Palladio brand, that they found asbestos within their products. So there are 4 things that I want to end this with. Number 1, the FDA needs to make sure their regulations are up to date, and the things that are dangerous, they have research to back that up. And things that are not dangerous are not on the ban list, and there's no reason to worry about them. We need to know that too. Second, they need to make sure that the guidance is clear for brands so that we can minimize those loopholes. And the third one is really important, is we need to hold brands accountable financially if they do break the rules. And finally, I think that the FDA really needs to do a better job at publishing materials that are easy to read and understand, that tell the truth about what is in our cosmetics. Do I think all of this is gonna happen? Absolutely not. But maybe we can manifest it. We can all together just think about it and just hope that maybe it'll happen. I don't know, we'll see. Moving into the product report, there are so many interesting things happening and some kind of top newsy kinds of things that I want to share with you. Starting off with Alicia Keys' Keys Soul Care line. If you remember, they launched with only skincare products and tools and like a candle and stuff like that. They're now going into color cosmetics. So what they're launching is color skincare hybrids that nurture and celebrate what makes you, you. How's that for marketing? There's a comforting tinted lip balm. There's 6 shades there. Sheer Flush Cheek Tint in 8 shades. Natural Flush Complexion Brush. Soft Stay Brow Gel. Let Me Glow Illuminating Primer Serum with niacinamide. Those are the the products. They're available now at their website. They're coming to Ulta on May 9th. But why this is controversial is because back in 2016, Alicia Keys was very, very big on promoting the no makeup movement. She spearheaded it. And that came from her own personal experience in that she felt like she was dependent on makeup in order to make herself feel confident and feel like she could go out in public. Of course, not every person feels that way, but that's the way that she felt. And she wanted to encourage other people who wear makeup to not wear makeup and understand that it's okay to just look the way that you naturally look. 4 years later in 2020, Alicia started getting criticisms because she was seen out in public with minimal makeup on. Now that she has Keys Soul Care and she's releasing color cosmetics, there are a lot of people coming after her saying she's a hypocrite because back in 2016 she was doing this whole movement and all of that. This is where I stand though. Is it's like, you know, can't somebody evolve? Can't somebody change? Can't somebody say this was a time in my life where I felt this way and now I've moved past it and grown past it? Like, I personally don't understand the criticism from at a deeper level. Like, I understand it on the surface level if you don't really think about like people and Alicia Keys being a human being who's allowed to move on past an idea that she had. I don't know. I feel like she should be able to do whatever she wants. She should be able to wear makeup if she wants. She should be able to sell makeup if she wants as far as color cosmetics. But I would love to know what you think in the comments. Lancome launched their 8 Hypnos Volume Serum Mascara, but it looks like it might have only launched in France. That's the only place that I could find it available. It says that it's Lancome's first volume mascara serum infused with care for volume that deeply cares for your lashes. And I believe that was a translation from French, so may not have gone one-to-one there. The packaging is absolutely gorgeous. The wand is really cool looking. One thing I found really interesting was that usually when I do the Euro to USD conversion, it's usually like $1.25-ish for €1. And those have come very close lately. It looks like since April. So the mascara in France is €37.90, and that's about $40 USD. So if you're able to get it while the euro is in the dollar or about neck and neck, this may be a good time to buy things in euros. Another thing interesting that launched this week, the Danessa Myricks Infinite Chrome Flakes in Pride. It does look like it's only available on their website right now, $25. They call it a fuchsia plus rainbow. I do wish there was a way for it to actually be the full spectrum of a rainbow. It seems like she got as many colors in there as they possibly could, but I don't know if it's even possible to do a full spectrum of rainbow. My multi-chrome addict friends, have you ever seen one that is a true full spectrum rainbow? I don't think I have. This next palette is so freaking funny to me. It's by Sugar Drizzle Polish, and it is, well, I think they're just Sugar Drizzle now. It's called the MILF palette. Man, I love frogs. It's launching May 14th. And they say it is multi-chromes, duochromes, and super shifty sparkles. It is $46.95. The color story is gorgeous, and I think that's really funny. Man, I love frogs. I don't know. It just struck me. It was really funny. All right, another indie brand, Dominique Cosmetics, the Wide Awake collection launched. It's the Wide Awake Full Cover Concealer, 17 shades. It does look like it has a pretty nice gradient, so that's great. $26. There's also the Smooth and Blur Setting Powders, 2 shades, translucent or medium deep, $22. And the Essential Beauty Sponge is $15. Nice to see Dominique Cosmetics coming out with some complexion products. Moving over to Hause Labs. This is very interesting, very interesting. So posted on May 1st, they put something on Twitter where they said, "The future is beautiful, something new is coming." And then on May 2nd, they wiped their Instagram completely clean. And now at this point when I'm filming, they do have a few posts up. And the posts say things like supercharged clean artistry and futuristic formulas. They're rebranding is what's happening. We've seen this happen with other brands. They're just rebranding. But honestly, honestly, I really feel like Haus Labs needed this. When Haus Labs launched, you know, I like Lady Gaga. I think that she's a very interesting person, and I tried her products and I didn't like anything, I don't think. I have a full review. I haven't watched it in a while. I didn't really like anything. The color stories were all over the place, and the formulas were not very good. They were being sold on Amazon, which cheapened the brand for some people, and they need a rebrand, in my opinion. So I looked back a bit, and I found in the PRN Newswire, which is like a press release website, back on March 11th, they actually put out a press release about this. They said that they are starting chapter 2 of their brand. They said that their brand is now going to be, quote, focused on its people, powered by innovation, led by beauty veterans, and driven by kindness. And apparently there are 20 plus new team members, including a lot of people that have been around the block for a while. So we have Susan Bates, who also worked for brands like Drunk Elephant, Kylie Cosmetics, and Kevin Aquan. And there's also AK Kongelbach. She has worked for like face-based brands, so like influencer brands and celebrity brands. That includes Item Beauty by Addison Rae, Trace Loose Beauty by Becky G, and then Kat Von D Beauty. In the list, there's a couple of people that worked for specifically Kat Von D Beauty, and their marketing was fantastic, especially in the beginning. So I don't know when they worked for them, but I'm actually really excited for the rebrand of Haus Labs. I hope that they crush it. I hope that they find their footing as far as what their brand story is, who they're marketing to, and get themselves together, because I would love to see great things coming from this brand. And then rounding off the product report, we have a bunch of brands collabing with things that are completely not makeup related. So let's jump into ColourPop and Star Wars. We know that they came out with their Mandalorian stuff that seemed to sell really well. I don't know if they sold well, but they seemed to sell well, especially like that Baby Yoda palette and all of that seemed to do well. So this collection is specifically based on the very first Star Wars movie. There's the Star Wars pressed powder palette, the Creme Luxe lipsticks, Luxe glosses, graphic ink liners, and Jelly Much shadows. Full collection can be purchased for $105, but then they have individual products between $9 and $24 there. And then the next one, I am dying at this. It's HipDot and Cup Noodles. And am I the only one that thought it was Cup O Noodles? Like, am I going, like, am I losing it here? Like, I don't know. But anyway, it is a super cute collection. Let's talk about what's in it. So there is a palette and then these really adorable sauce-shaped lip and cheek tints. Those are sold separately, but if you get their whole collection bundle, I think it's $58. I forgot to write it down. But it has those two things, the palette and the lips, but then it also has a powder puff, a branded makeup bag, and a set of chopsticks. Like, are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me? I can't even. But definitely note that this is not called an eyeshadow palette. It is called a pigment palette. That's your hint that it's probably got the FDA not approved for eyes pigments in them. But then I have to say this one's probably my favorite. Glamlite and Frosted Flakes. I'm dying, especially, oh my gosh, I'm dying. Okay. I'm gonna get ahead of myself. Full collection, limited edition PR box, $90. Or you can get the full collection bundle without the PR box, that's $75. Palettes, $35. The loose highlighter. Are you serious right now? It's $16. It looks like a little bowl of cereal and I'm dying. Like, I can't even with this. At this point, the whole collection is launched when you're seeing this live, but as I'm filming, it hasn't launched yet. So you know whether it's sold out or not. I would imagine this highlighter is gonna sell out really fast because that is really freaking cute. There's also two different lip kits, the Tough Tiger and the Frosted lip kits. Those are $15 each. And then finally, Essence is collabing with Jurassic World. It does seem to be an EU only release as of now. We shall see. Really cute. I couldn't get a ton of information on it because I can't get to the EU website for some reason. It is a palette, a brush set, a lipstick, a beauty sponge, a highlighter, and a mascara. I am going to link the blog post down below where I got my photo from, but I don't have prices and stuff for it because it wasn't listed on the US website. I said it was rounding out the product report because I forgot about Sephora and Ulta because Sephora and Ulta are honestly, in my opinion, quite boring this week, but I do want to mention two things from each place. The Henriksen Banana Bright Sun Kiss Self Tanning Face Primer with vitamin C. $40. They say it's a vitamin C enriched primer that gradually gives you a natural looking bronzy tan while also quickly brightening and improving makeup wear. It is listed as new and out of stock, and it doesn't have a launch date, so I would imagine it's just coming soon. It's kind of an interesting product, more interesting than the other things, but you know, I digress. Anyway, next product, the REFY Skin Finish Water-Based Loose Setting Powder, $32. And I'm so confused by this because how can you have a powder that's water-based? Is it like a dehydrated water? Is that what's happening here? Because it's literally a powder. Like how is this? I don't get it. It does seem like it does have some pigmentation to it, so be aware of that. It says it's going to be available in 2 shades, medium dark and light medium. It'll be available on May 3rd. And then moving over to Ulta, we have the Matte Color Excess Gel Pencils, $23 each, 12 colorful shades. They say it is a waterproof, highly pigmented gel pencil eyeliner that wears for 24 plus hours on the lids and 12 hours on the waterline. I love seeing the bright colors coming back for eyeliners. I hope that more people are using bright color eyeliners because I think they look really cool. And then the L'Oreal Infallible Precision Felt Liquid Eyeliner, $11.99, 5 shades, a little more quote unquote wearable for their shade range. It's just black, blue, brown, green, and gray. It does last for up to 30 hours, they say. I'm wondering like where I feel like the numbers keep getting bigger and bigger for that. Like at first it was like 12-hour wear, and then it was like 17-hour wear, and then 24-hour wear, and now we're at 30-hour wear. Are we gonna get to like 172-hour wear? Like, is that gonna be a thing one day? I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, there were more than 2 things. I thought there were just 2 things, but there's more than 2 things. We have a small drop from Mented, just a sheer lip gloss, 3 shades. The Long Live the Lash Mascara, $18. Nothing really looks different about those. Bobbi Brown dropped a lip gloss at Ulta. It's called the Crush Oil Infused Gloss Shimmer. 3 shades there. And then the Well People Expressionist Brow Pencil, it's 4 shades. I mean, it's a brow pencil. It's like, that stuff wasn't that interesting, but I figured I would let you know in case you were interested. All right, PR or purchase product of the week. Products are purchased this week. I did a little ColourPop purchasing when I saw the Winnie the Pooh collection. It seems like it's been a month since this came out, but I think it just came out last week. Oh my gosh, I had so much fun using this today. This is what's on my eyes today. This shade right here, this one. This one is so fun. It's like, I don't think it's doing it justice. Let me just swatch a few shades that I used today and just hopefully you can get the appreciation. See, the duochromeness is not coming off on my hand. It looked so gorgeous on my eyes. This one right here, I don't know if you can see it. I don't think you can. Let me see if I can get it up close. Can you see how pretty that is? Not really. But on the eyes, I swear it was like more duochromy, like over here. It was so pretty. And then I mixed it with this light shade right here, this Make Believe shade. I kind of put that in the inner corner. So freaking pretty. On my lower lash line, I used the shade Best Friends here. I set up the look with these 2 shades here, Smackaroo and Pooh Bear. And it's a really fun palette. This is the first time I've used it, and it's just really, really fun to use. And I can't wait to use it more. Really enjoying this. On my lips today, I've never tried this formula before. This is the Fresh Kiss Lip Creme in the shade La 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 Coal It Quits. That is what is on my lips today. I found it to be very patchy, and maybe it's just because it's such a deep shade and there's such a contrast between my lips and the shade, and it's got so much pigmentation in there. Maybe that's why. I did buy a few other ones, so I'm curious to see whether the other shades end up patchy on me. It took me a while to get it to like this opacity. On my eyes for eyeliner, I use the liquid eyeliner in Grande. It's a brown, it's really pretty. Let me just swatch that there. Very easy to use, really enjoy that. And then I did want to mention, because it is added on to the shadow and the lips, the Hindash Boy Tears. This was #1 in the favorites and fails countdown this month. I tapped a little bit of that onto my lips and in my inner corner. This was PR though, but I did want to let you know because it kind of messed with the color of the lip a little bit, and I just wanted to share that so you didn't think that this was what it looked like straight out of the tube. Notable sales this week. We actually have quite a few, mostly for Mother's Day. We have the BK Beauty up to 35% off. It does end today. Use code MOM22 at checkout. Then we have the e.l.f. Beauty Squad exclusive 40% off on orders of $30 or more, plus a free contour palette when you spend over $45. If you aren't part of their beauty squad, you can still get a discount, 25% off on $30 or more. Then over at Viseart, they're having up to 50% off. And if you are a Viseart fan, oh my God, they have a lot of their palettes at 50% off right now. Then we have Ulta's Gorgeous Hair event that runs May 8th to May 28th. It's like 21 Days of Beauty, but it's for hair stuff, so 50% off select hair products. Then we have the ColourPop is having a select 50% off sale on, it looked like a lot of like their gray, white, black, blue kinds of products. It was a weird sale, but you can go over there and check that out. I do have a link down below for you if you want to just click on that and go straight there. And then we have the Pat McGrath up to 30% off for Mother's Day as well. And finally, we have our artist shout out of the week. We are going to talk about Peo Castillo. Oh my goodness. Usually I talk about where the person is from, what country they're from, and it doesn't say on her account where she's from. She does look to be very young. She's probably a teenager, and the amount of talent she has is absolutely incredible. So let's go into her first look. It is Luca inspired. If you haven't seen the movie Luca, it is absolutely adorable. It's a really cute movie. For this look, it is all about the blend for me. The transition from the blue to the green is absolutely seamless. I also love the bright white under her eyes and how she still added the blush, even though she probably could have skipped it, but I think it takes it to a whole different dimension. And of course, the art on the chest is just adorable, absolutely adorable. Second look is her Revolution and Lion King collection. It's totally giving me like big Lisa Frank vibes, but in a positive way. I'm not holding that against her, but that was kind of the theme of the Revolution palette, so it makes perfect sense. I mean, the colors are gorgeous. I love how she lets so much of her skin show and just uses the yellow, pink, and green to accent her eyes and the side of her face. And of course, again, on the chest art, just absolutely amazing. Moving over to the third look, this one is called Spring Bunny. I mean, really? How freaking cute. I mean, there is just so much to love about this look, from the way she uses the green to create the illusion of the bunny face, to the little flowers that she puts as her eyebrows, to of course the art on her chest and shoulders. It is truly unreal. I mean, this girl has so much talent. I will link her Instagram channel down below in case you would like to give her a follow. I just followed her and I'm looking forward to following her journey. And that, my friend, was What's Up in Makeup this week. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you as always to the What's Up in Makeup Facebook hunters. Their names are scrolling below me. Thank you so much for all of your submissions this week. I truly appreciate you taking time out of your day to submit things to our What's Up in Makeup Facebook group. If you would like to become a What's Up in Makeup Facebook hunter, it is always linked underneath What's Up in Makeup every week. It's just a place to submit stuff. It's not a place to like have big long conversations or anything. It's not like really community based. We do have a chatter post of the week where we just kind of talk about one particular topic, but for the most part, it's just posting things over there, but it's also a great way to get sneak peeks of what's going to be happening in What's Up in Makeup. Chat today is going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Hopefully you can join us. If you can't, it is no problem at all. I know it's a busy day for a lot of people. It's very easy to find, especially if you're subscribed. You just need to go over to your subscription feed and it'll be right there. But if you're not subscribed, you can also find it by going over to my channel page, and then you click on where it says my videos, and then click on the video titled Live Chat. Thank you again so much for watching What's Up in Makeup. I hope you enjoyed it this week. If you did, hit the thumbs up button. It really does help me out a lot. It tells YouTube this is a good video. They should share it with other people. And if you liked it so much that you want to hang out a little bit longer, YouTube should be recommending a couple videos over here right for you to watch. That was confusing, but they're right there if you want to watch them, including last week's episode of What's Up in Makeup. But if you do need to go, it is no problem at all. Thank you so much for hanging out with me as long as you did, and mad love to you, and I will see you in a video very soon. Bye!